Rome had survived the unimaginable. It had endured civil wars, invasions, famine, and political chaos. Time and again, enemies had tested its walls and failed. To the outside world, Rome still looked powerful, magnificent, eternal. But that power was a shadow of what it once was. By the early 5th century, the Western Roman Empire was exhausted, hollowed out from within. Its legendary armies, the legions that had conquered the known world, were no longer made up of proud Roman citizens. They were filled with mercenaries, men who fought not for the glory of Rome, but for gold. These soldiers were often called barbarians, people from beyond the empire's borders. Among them was a general named Stilicho. He was not Roman by birth, he was a Vandal, a barbarian. Yet for years Stilicho was Rome's greatest defender. He was a military genius, holding back wave after wave of invaders, crushing rebellions, and keeping the fragile empire alive through sheer force of will and tactical brilliance. You could say that without Stilicho, Rome would have fallen much, much earlier. And that was precisely the problem. Stilicho had become too powerful. In the corridors of the imperial palace in Ravenna, whispers spread like a virus. Senators who had long forgotten what a real battlefield looked like feared him. Advisors whose only talent was palace intrigue distrusted him. They spun their webs of paranoia around the young, weak-willed Emperor Honorius. They warned him that Stilicho could not be trusted. They said Rome was being protected by the very people who would one day betray it. It was a classic case of fear replacing reason. And in the year 408, Emperor Honorius made a fatal, irreversible decision. He ordered the execution of Stilicho, the one man who could have saved him. In a single foolish stroke, Rome decapitated its own military leadership, losing its most capable and loyal commander. But the betrayal didn't stop there. What happened next was not just a mistake. It was an act of self-destruction. Fueled by xenophobia and panic, a wave of violence was unleashed against the families of the barbarian soldiers serving in the Roman army. Thousands of women and children, whose husbands and fathers had fought and bled for Rome, were brutally slaughtered in the streets of Roman cities. Imagine being one of those soldiers. You've dedicated your life to defending an empire that sees you as an outsider. You've put your life on the line. And then you receive news that your family has been murdered, not by an enemy, but by the very people you swore to protect. What would you do? Their loyalty, already strained, vanished overnight. They defected. Tens of thousands of highly trained, battle-hardened soldiers abandoned the Roman standards and sought a new leader, one who would give them vengeance. And they found him. His name was Alaric, king of the Visigoths. For years, Alaric had a complicated relationship with Rome. He had served it, fought for it, and even tried to negotiate with it. But now, with Stilicho gone and tens of thousands of enraged soldiers flocking to his banner, he saw his opportunity. With Rome's defenses shattered from within and its best armies now fighting against it, Alaric marched towards an unthinkable target. Not a distant province, not a frontier town, but the heart of the empire itself, the city of Rome. The legendary Aurelian walls still stood, tall and imposing. But walls are useless if there's no one to defend them. Rome's true strength was gone. There were no more legions left to ride to the rescue. There were no great generals capable of stopping what was coming. The city was isolated, starved, and terrified. In the year 410, the unthinkable happened. The gates of Rome were opened, and Alaric's army marched in. For 3 days the city was sacked. For the first time in nearly 800 years, the eternal city fell to a foreign enemy. The psychological shockwave reverberated across the entire known world. If Rome could fall, what was safe? People at the time blamed the barbarians. They blamed the new Christian religion. They blamed 100 different things. But the truth is far more tragic. Rome was not conquered by an overwhelming external force. It rotted from the inside out. It fell because it betrayed the very people who defended it. It fell because fear replaced trust, because petty politics replaced sound strategy, because Rome, in a fit of paranoia, destroyed its own protectors. The Western Roman Empire would limp on for a few more decades, a ghost of its former self, but its fate was sealed on the day it turned on Stilicho. The lesson from this story is a timeless one. Empires and nations are rarely destroyed by enemies alone. They begin their fall when they turn on themselves, when they sacrifice their defenders on the altar of fear and suspicion. The story of 410 is not just about the fall of a city, it's a warning about the self-destructive power of betrayal. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more dives into the most dramatic moments in history. See you next time.